Chapter 11, Part C, Briefs. Builders Lien Act protects contractors, subcontractors, and workers who supply work or material to an improvements for the unpaid price of their work and materials. So basically, highlight protection of contractors, subcontractors. The claimant has 45 days to file a claim for the issuance of the certificate of completion. So I had 45 days to file a claim. See, so a builder's lien attached to the owner's interest in land. So I highlight attached to owner's interest. Basically on the title it says builder's lien. So there's a big note placed on the title. Each time an owner makes a payment to a contractor for work or materials, the owner can hold back 10% of the payment and deposit it into the owner's holdback account. So basically each time the owner make a payment to the contractor, right, for work, so the owner can hold back how much? 10% of the payment and deposit it into the owner's holdback account. So highlight 10% holdback. The owner must retain the holdback account interest for 55 days. So around 55 days from the issuance of a certificate of completion. The owner complies with the holdback requirement of the Act. The owner's liability is restricted to the amount in the holdback. So highlight liability restricted to the amount. If in the holdback account there is $50,000, so he is only liable for $50,000. Before 1990 court decision made in BC, the vendor could demand the cash proceeds of sale before giving a registered transfer to the purchaser. But a lender would not make the mortgage proceeds available until after the transfer and the mortgage were registered. The purchaser would have to attempt to find interim financing until registration occurred. Basically, you have to find the money from somewhere else before. Norfolk versus Aiken says that upon completion of the transaction, the vendor will provide title to the property in return for payment of the purchaser price. The standard form for the contract of purchase sale allows the registration of the transfer and mortgage documents to take place on the basis of exchange conveyance undertaking mean between those legal documents, right? So basically before 1990 what was there? So you have to get the money from somebody else. But now basically as soon as the title transfer, other party get the money. So subject clauses. Condition precedent, referred to as condition precedent or condition subsequent. It allows the buyer to present an offer and the seller to accept the offer upon a condition needing to be fulfilled by a certain date, for example subject to obtaining a first mortgage. So normally we put subject to financing, subject to title search, subject to inspection, subject to property disclosure, subject to the insurance, right? Condition subsequent. So basically these are the subjects you have to fulfill before you remove the subject. Condition subsequent describes a condition whose occurrence will bring the principal obligation of a party to the contract to an end. For example, buyer puts a deposit in the contract and the vendor can insert a condition subsequent clause saying in the event the buyer fails to pay the deposit, the seller may terminate the contract. Do you understand, right? So you say 50,000 deposit coming, but the seller say okay, if the deposit doesn't come, he can terminate the contract. There is a condition subsequent. Basically, so condition subsequent is the major factor for the performance of the contract. True condition. This is a condition subject to clause inserted into a contract of purchase and sale. This true condition is dependent on the actions of someone else who is not party to the contract. No person can unilaterally waive the true condition until the event actually happens. For example, a buyer agrees to purchase 60 acres subject to the local village council adding some land to the village. So basically, he will only buy provided the council adds some land. So that's the true condition. 4 ways to protect a vendor when a condition precedent is used. There are 4 ways to protect. Pre-qualify the purchaser. The reps should be reasonably sure that the purchaser has the ability to fulfill conditional precedent. Yeah. So I'll pre-qualify, right? So highlight the word reasonable. Time limit on the satisfaction of a condition precedent. The rep should limit the time available to fulfill. For example, 1 week, right? Use a time clause. An offer containing a condition precedent can be accepted, but the vendor's reps can include period of time, so often 72 hours. So how to 72 hours? The first offer must remove the condition precedent or the offer is null and void. For example, I say, okay, I'll buy the house provided I sell my house. So the seller says, okay, no problem, I'll put a 72-hour clause. If I get a better offer, so within 72 hours you remove the subject, otherwise I'm going to sell to the other guy. So there's a time clause. So covenant to attempt to satisfy the condition. So is a promise by the person to whom the condition benefits to do their best to satisfy the condition. So basically you put a condition, okay, you are given 2 weeks to do it. If you don't do it, so then we will terminate. Removing a condition precedent. There are 2 ways of removing a condition precedent. Actually crossing out the condition precedent in the original contract and having all parties initial the changes. I put a subject to inspection, but now I cross it, my party say he doesn't want to do it, right? Using an amendment or subject removal from whereby it states the condition has been removed and all parties sign the amendment. So you put a subject to financing, mortgage is done, now you can remove the subject. Can a buyer purchase a property and assign his rights away before completion? A party to contract can assign away benefit under the contract to a third party. This is permissible, highly permissible. In selling real estate, provided the assignment does not prejudice, the rights of the vendor, and the contract does not prohibit, doesn't prohibit assignment, and notice of the assignment is given to the vendor. The vendor writes in contract no assignments. So for example, you can always assign provided it that, so provided it is not unfair for the seller. So the seller doesn't say, there is no assignments. Okay. So a real estate reps owes a fiduciary duty, a moral duty to a vendor for whom she is working for, and included in this duty is the obligation to disclose all information. So I like disclose all information relating to the vendor's sale. So PDC was property disclosure statement was introduced by BCRA in 1992, voluntarily and became mandatory in 93. Had mandatory in 93 by most registered boards. There is a fiduciary duty. Fiduciary duty is someone who, because of his position, must look out completely for the interest of someone else. Reps have a fiduciary duty to take care of the client, means moral duty.